For many of us, the mind of the boomer is an impenetrable enigma. For these people, whenever our generation talks about financial hardships, they just chalk it up to a lack of effort on our part. To them, if you can't enjoy the finer things in life, you simply aren't working hard enough. And apparently, that no longer is just talking about cars, houses, healthcare, or food, but also video games. In the boomer's mind, if you want to afford GTA 6, you don't need to complain about pricing standards or even wait for a sale. You actually just need a second job. Hello fellow travelers and welcome to the Hard Light Network. When the prices for video games first began to increase, developers initially blamed the rising cost of production. Then they started to tell us that their teams were simply too large and everyone needed to be cut in on a fair piece of the pie. Then they started to blame regulatory issues like tariffs. But now they've abandoned all of that, and instead of games actually being expensive, they've just started to tell us that they're really affordable. And yes, you heard that right. Just when we thought that their excuses couldn't get any worse, they simply resorted to gaslighting gamers everywhere. And the worst offender seems to be former PlayStation boss Shuhei Yoshida. But before we get into it today, guys, do me a solid and hit that like button, subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the content that I've got coming up for you guys in the future, and also take to the comment section down below to tell me how only brokies can't afford to play video games. Also, if you've got that boomer money and you want to support this channel further, there are super thanks and memberships options down below. Feel free to join the channel today for access to exclusive content and perks that you can't get anywhere else. But without any further ado, let's get into today's article. And of course, our reading today comes to us from Games Radar and is entitled, quote, "Games are amazingly affordable. Former PlayStation boss defends $80 prices because stuff like Mario Kart provides, quote, hours and hours and hours with just one purchase." Former PlayStation boss Shuhei Yoshida has once again chimed in on the debate around $80 games, and he doesn't actually mind the higher price tags. When Nintendo announced that Mario Kart World would be launching alongside the Switch 2 with an $80 price tag, it didn't take other publishers long to follow suit. Microsoft soon said some of its major games, including The Outer Worlds 2, would also adopt the now new standard. But speaking to the Kit and Krista channel, Shuhei Yoshida said that, quote, "Every game has a different value that it delivers to players. So it's up to publishers to gauge what price is reasonable for their products. It doesn't have to be that every game has to be at, $70 or $80 or whatever, because every game is different." He then points to sometimes ultra expensive live service games that charge $100 for you to buy this one digital trading card or something, which is obviously extortionate. But some people see the benefit, so they spend that $100. So it's up to you if you see the value or not. Yoshida does also acknowledge that things are particularly tough for folks right now. Hello, cost of living crisis. But reckons game prices haven't inflated as much as movie tickets over the last 10 years, for instance, and are still amazingly affordable, all things considered. When you look at the value that the amount of entertainment a good video game provides, like Mario Kart 8, so many people played hours and hours and hours right with just one purchase. Or maybe, some people paid for additional tracks. So it's really up to the game, and people have to judge which game provides the entertainment that you want to see, and if it makes sense to pay the price on day one. Or some games, many games, the price comes down when you wait as well. And that's not even the worst of it. As commenter Deloitte says, yeah, that's easy for him to say. He's a rich former big boss who is currently on some kind of unofficial campaign trail, presumably to promote PlayStation, normalize price hikes, and slate Nintendo. I wouldn't be surprised if he was being paid by Sony to do all of these interviews. I just wish I didn't get a notification for several new articles every time he says anything. It's like 5 articles per site, per interview, and it's exhausting. And you know what? Deloitte is 100% right. So rather than put you guys through 5 different videos on 5 different articles from the same interview, I thought it was best that I just sum up all of them here in this video. Former PlayStation exec says $70 or $80 games are a steal, as long as people choose carefully how to spend their money. I don't think they should be complaining. Former PlayStation boss blames AAA production costs for $80 games, says titles with tighter teams like Clair Obscur could be the way forward. Former PlayStation boss predicted the Switch 2 would be $100 cheaper than it is, but isn't irked by $80 for games like Mario Kart World, as publishers shouldn't be, quote, limited to a fixed price. All of these takes are from the exact same man, and he hits every single industry talking point like he's John Marston using Deadeye. He says, production costs are just so high and the teams are just so large. Producers are setting costs at what they think that the game should be valued at, not what the game is actually valued at. And I mean, come on guys, you could always wait for a sale, but why would you do that when our games are just so much fun? You're definitely getting $80 worth of value out of them. The amount of talking back and forth from these developers is enough to give you whiplash. Are the prices so high because of external factors like production costs and inflation? Or do producers just think that their games are so awesome that they deserve to be paid $80, $90, or even $100 for their games? Who or what determines the actual value of these games? Because if he also tells us to simply wait for a sale, it can't be all three. I was having this exact conversation with a fellow YouTuber just the other day, and the topic of game prices got brought up. I brought up the example of Cyberpunk 2077 for how I personally got the most value out of my purchase. Instead of jumping on the hype train and purchasing the game and its DLC when they first came out, I decided to wait for a sale. And not only did I avoid a huge headache with the lackluster launch of the title, I also managed to save myself $50 off of the base price. In this scenario, I'm the objective winner out of all of the parties. Not only did early adopters of the game get punished with a premium price tag and lackluster gameplay, but the developer themselves had to lower the cost of their game to less than half just to get my purchase. Which begs the question, if the producer of the game really thought that the value of their game was $90, why put it on sale in the first place? Who actually determines the value of these titles? For me, the answer seems obvious, and personally speaking, it points to me who has the actual power in the gaming marketplace. Another game that I can easily point to as a slam dunk example for value over cost is Kenshi, a game that I purchased at full price for only $11. A game that I still play to this very day and have invested over 1,200 hours into. If one guy working on a game between shifts at his part-time job could produce a game that I would spend 2 months of my life on, why would I ever be incentivized to purchase a game for $80? Don't get me wrong, I fully understand that taste is subjective and Kenshi is not a game for everyone. But my personal taste is not how publishers are evaluating the prices of their games. And the point of this video is to demonstrate exactly that. If games aren't valuable because of my opinion, if they aren't valuable because of external factors like production costs or inflation, and if they aren't valuable because a publisher says so, what actually makes them valuable? But that's going to do it for this video today, guys. Thank you so much to everybody who has watched up to this point. If you like this video, leave a like and also subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the content that I've got coming up for you guys in the future. And don't forget to hit that comment section before you head out of here to let me know what your take is on this topic. At the end of the day, despite the excuses and gaslighting from publishers and developers alike, I think they know what we all know intuitively. The only place to go when you're at the top is down. And that's why they have to rely on increasingly shady business practices, such as delisting older titles, repackaging them as remasters, overcharging for subscription-based services, and pushing out live service titles that can be nuked the second the game ceases to be commercially viable. At this point, there's no real reason to keep chasing after the newest, hottest thing. And with that being said, my backlog is calling to me, guys, so as always, thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, leave a like, and until next time, love you guys, safe travels.